Hello everyone, welcome to Somnium Space Metaverse. We are in the lighthouse and you can see the beautiful water, beautiful sky, and somewhere behind them there's quite early sun from the morning as we have here. You can see the water and yeah, so it's actually pretty cool. I don't know, maybe you like it. If you do, you can get the client from somniumspace.com and we can next time meet here with you. But this time we are doing it just on Twitch and we have a guest artist, Marie Milenka. I hope I'm saying it right. Hello.
Yes, you're right. Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's really nice to be here today.
Yeah, awesome. So while we are running through the city center, it's actually quite close to the place where you spawn when you begin. Also, cool thing, you can actually climb this ladder to the floating island. It's a magnificent view up there, and we are running to the studio where I would be able to put the artworks and the profile information about our artist there. So while we are running there, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Where are you coming from? Hello.
Hi.
I don't know
I
if
think
it
I
was
lost you for a
working.
second.
Yeah. Sorry. I was asking where are you coming from?
Right now I'm in Kiev, Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Back home because of the pandemic. It's been a while since I've been here, but for now I'm back because of this entire situation. When no one is able to travel. So just waiting for this to calm down before I can move somewhere again.
Ah, right. It's pretty cool. Okay. Well, not the being lockdown part, but in general, the traveling part.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So can you tell us the story? How did you become an artist?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, as most probably artists, I consider myself an artist since pretty much day one ish. I was growing up in a pretty artistic family, so I guess a transient family to some extent. I was surrounded by paintings my entire childhood and all of my mom's friends who are artists. So I've been around canvases and paint for my entire life. I know, so perhaps it just came to me naturally that now I'm pursuing this as a career. My dad is an architect and my mom is an artist. So that's kind of how I got into it originally.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it never was pushed on me really. So I consider it a conscious choice for myself. And for a long time, I was pursuing pretty much until the last year. And then the switch towards art happened for me. And now I'm trying to pursue that instead.
Cool. Okay. So can you tell us more about your type of art? What sort of art you are doing? Uh, I will open your Instagram
Yeah.
account and I will show our viewers.
Yeah, definitely. I'm mostly doing art line work. Sometimes it's animated, but sometimes it's just illustrations. I'm also doing paintings lately, but that's not my main focus right now, especially since I'm diving into NFTs and crypto art. And just, I don't know, so I guess line work mostly. At some point, I got myself into tattooing, and my line work experience really helped me in trying out that sort of branching style or kind of work, I guess.
Oh yeah, nice. And what was the motivation to go to the tattoo? Because it's quite different canvas than for anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah, it's like drawing on everything that that's near you. Actually, I was doing my internship, architectural internship in Canada. And at some point, I found out there was a store that would sell tattooing kits to newbies like myself. And I started researching that, and my internship was 3 or 4 months. And by the end of the internship, I kind of, in my own time, compiled the information on how to start tattooing. And by the end of it, I was able to purchase a tattooing kit. And by the end of the next semester at my university, I started doing tattoos. And then I moved to Chicago, and that kind of picked up. And that's when I did most of my tattoos. And yeah, it was just an experiment. At some point, I found a lot of tattoo artists on Instagram who were doing ignorant style, which is very similar to my art style. And I thought, why if they can do that, why can't I try at least? And I know it picked up, and it was a really fun experience, and I still do it occasionally.
Oh, that's cool. Since your style is quite unique, so I was able to ask
Okay.
about your subjects for the tattooing because it's not what people usually picture when talking about tattoo, tattoo art.
Yeah, it's definitely not traditional tattooing. Um, uh, you mean the topics
How
I
did you
choose for?
find the more like subjects like the people that
Oh, you mean people?
get it? Yeah,
Okay, I see.
because it must be quite unique people because like I imagine or what I know like when I meet someone that has tattoo, usually
Mhm.
either it's sort of like these like pop culture like pirate things and these sort of things or
Mhm.
for some abstract sort of thing. And this is actually this ignorance there. It's quite cool. I'm putting it here. Some basic search. So tell us more about finding subjects for this sort of tattoo.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Um, well, my first subjects were my classmates at my university, actually. So my first two people who I tattooed were my two girl classmates. One of whom I worked with at that internship at that architectural firm. So we were from the same class, and we worked at the same firm. So she kind of knew I was getting into tattoos. And by the end of the next semester, she asked me to do a tattoo for her. So that was a nerve-wracking experience for me, but that's how it started. And then the other girl found out about that tattoo and asked me to do one for her. And then once I moved to Chicago for the biennial, architectural biennial in 2019, I think it was. I started finding friends in Chicago and also people via social media. So through my Instagram. I'm not sure if it's okay to say on the podcast, but but I also found a couple of people through Tinder.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of how it went.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think it's just natural to come with friends.
Yeah, yeah,
As is
definitely.
any business or artistic venture. Yeah, those are really cool.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah. You still doing tattoo sometimes?
I stopped at the beginning of the pandemic for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I've been on a break for this year. I'm hoping to start again sometime soon, but I'm not tattooing from home because I live with my parents a lot of the time when I'm in Kiev. So it's really hard to find a place to do that, which is why I'm on a little break right now.
Right.
But whenever I'm away somewhere, I'm resuming the practice, so to say.
Yeah, cool, cool. Yeah, so people that like this kind of very unique tattoo style might be able to reach you. The Twitter handle is actually in the
Yeah, that
description and
would be
name of the
awesome.
Twitch. Yeah, yeah. So because it's opening up, so it would be cool to get some commissions and more pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's move on to your other art, or maybe like you started doing tattoos, and then also you found your way into the NFT space. So maybe let's talk about that transition. Where did you learn about NFT?
I actually cannot remember for the life of me where I first heard about NFTs. Like I knew about Bitcoin and that sort of thing, but
Right.
I think I first heard about NFTs sometime at the end of last year, so very recently, when that entire wave of I can't remember the name now. Of the guy who sold that very expensive NFT of his
You mean Beeple?
a composite. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, that guy. So obviously, I heard about that because it was everywhere. And then I was in a bunch of Facebook groups selling selling original or not original. Well, 3D real life art. Um, not online or crypto art. And then within those groups, there was conversation starting about NFTs and moving some sales to NFT platforms. And that's how I found a bunch of Telegram groups talking about NFTs. And then I heard about the collaboration, the Notar Club collaboration, and that was a big push for my exploration of the NFT space. And then I found Hiketnunk, if I'm pronouncing that right. So I started posting art there because I was posting art on Instagram already. So why not just post it somewhere where people can also buy it? And that's still a learning experience for me right now, because it's still a pretty early. I'm on the pretty early stage of just being an NFT artist, considering myself an NFT artist.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Not Art Club. So can you tell us
Yes.
more about that? Because it's quite a cool group. I'm actually a member as well. So
Yeah, I know. That's how we met.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a collaboration of 100 artists making well, who already made and minted our first Genesis piece on Foundation, and the piece is essentially, well, it's about many things, but overarching theme is currency, just financial situation in the world, capitalism, everything to do with with money. And the piece, the way it looks, it's a composite of 100 individual pieces by those 100 artists, which together combined, they make up an image of $100 bill, which is in the NFT itself is set on fire. So it's a pretty symbolic NFT. And just in general, the Knowledge Club is a super supportive community of artists, both beginners in the NFT space and people who are more experienced with it, who were doing it for a longer time. So it's basically learning from other people, supporting each other. And I don't know, it's been a really nice experience for me. I'm actually helping out with, well, a lot of it is on voluntary basis because um, obviously a thing like that needs marketing and stuff like that. So a lot of us are volunteering to do whatever tasks we can to sort of promote the work. And at some point, I volunteered to help with a Twitter account and Twitter posts and stuff. So and for me personally, that also really helped to get into Twitter, because I knew that NFTs are mostly promoted and talked about on Twitter rather than any other social media. And I wasn't really present on Twitter before another club, and sort of helping them with their Twitter really helped me sort of look around and start using Twitter more for my own NFT journey, so to say.
That's cool. What would you say that were like the most important things that you learned, like what to do or what not to do on Twitter? I think it could be quite useful for other starting artists as well.
Well, I like to say I'm not anywhere near being a professional at Twitter, but I would say spamming in any sort of way is definitely a no. I mean, I guess it's one of the obvious things not to do, but definitely not posting where you are obviously not asked to post your art. Just being subtle about promoting yourself if
Mhm.
you're doing promotions on Twitter. Just being nice to people, obviously, not being mean to other artists or collectors, because that's your community, and why would you want to ruin that for yourself? Just trying to stay out of conflicts, out of drama, just making connections as much as possible, looking for people who have similar interests to your interests, finding the communities around the NFT platform you're on, I think is really helpful. And I know just connecting with people, connecting with collectors, being a nice person, doing good art, and that sort of stuff.
Cool. I think those are really good advice for everyone. Maybe not just for the people that are starting, but even people that are there longer and yeah, maybe struggling a little bit to get the audience and get their artworks out there. Cool.
Yeah, algorithm on Twitter and pretty much any any other social media is definitely against us, but we are doing our best.
Yeah, so let's move back to your artworks. So can you tell us yeah, about the style? So is it something that's very unique to yourself, or do you take like inspiration from some particular style of art? Because it's not familiar to me, so I'm very interested
really?
to learn. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm hoping it's unique, obviously. I'm trying not to copy anyone's art ever. I definitely feel like a lot of my art can be inspired by other artists, including cartoons and more popular culture stuff.
Mhm.
I'm definitely looking for inspiration oftentimes. I like medieval art, even cave art, very, very old paintings, old illustrations are often really helpful when I feel stuck, trying to come up with new ideas and new forms. But I definitely noticed that I come up with the best pieces of art when I'm not thinking about repeating something that was already done. Um, I realized that everything has been created, so it's really impossible basically to be unique, but it's good to at least try to be unique as much as possible, and at least not looking like something that is currently being made. I generally find copying artists, well, not really artists, but fakes copying someone else's art, or not giving credit when they are obviously copying someone else's work. And I feel really sensitive about that topic. So first of all, I'm really trying not to do that myself, and I'm trying to point out when people are stealing someone else's work. But for myself personally, most of my artwork is made when I'm not thinking about what I'm trying to do, when I'm just procrastinating doing art when I should be doing something else. So I don't know. It's definitely like the ideas, the themes that I'm working on are definitely informed by the subjects I'm interested in general at that point in time. So if I'm reading something, my art will usually be related in some form or way to what I'm reading, or when I'm focused on some issue or topic at that time. That will definitely show in my work. But other than that, I'm trying to really not copy anything that I'm seeing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was more like about the inspiration. But when you mentioned the copying, do you see a lot of it in the NFT space?
I'm hearing a lot about copying in NFT space. I know some cases, but I don't think it's too common. I know even some well-known NFT artists were caught doing that sort of thing, and some of them apologize, some of them do not apologize for that. But there were cases, obviously. I feel like it's inevitable when something gets popular, then people who don't even possess skills for participating, but they want to sort of get some profit of it, they will try to use any way they see possible to sort of get that profit, which also will include copying or stealing some art or a style that someone else is working in, or feel like they have created it. Uh, but I personally, not in NFT space, but in general, while during my art making journey and during posting on social media, posting on the internet, I have been copied. I don't really understand why, because I'm not that big of a deal. But that happened to me a couple of times, and that felt really, really dirty. So that's why I'm sort of trying to stay away from that myself, and to expose whoever does that to other artists,
Right.
because on the receiving end, that feels really, really bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe you are a bigger deal than you think you are. People actually are copying you, so that's yeah. Of course, like feels bad, but in some way, it's like the ultimate sort of
Yeah,
like
I mean,
appreciation, you
it could
know.
be seen as that.
Yeah, so someone went
Yeah.
beyond what's not just crossed the line, was willing to cross the line of what's actually legal to get your stuff and use them. So
Yeah, I
yeah, of
mean,
course, it's like
that's the
it's
bright
bad,
side of
but
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like some sort of validation. So that's nice. Yeah, of course, it's better to do it with like. Giving the credit to the artist. I really hope that maybe in the future we will have maybe platforms as sort of like a TikTok, where you sort of want to be copied, because that's a way how you get your message out there. But it's like the platform allows. It's basically the attribution of the original artist is sort of part of the platform. So
Yeah.
someone can do like a reply to you to your
Yeah,
to your
stitches,
video,
replies.
yeah,
Yeah.
stitches and duets, but you are your it's attributed as sort of the idea. So I really like that, and I hope that maybe NFTs will do something similar for visual arts. So of course, if we wouldn't want to be copied, that it would be situation as is right now, and it's going to be probably. But maybe many artists, especially the emerging ones, will sort of ask to be copied in this better way. So yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, we are absolutely not there, and you are right that there are some people that are taking shortcuts in the NFT space, and it's not good for anyone.
Yeah, it's not good practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, when I'm putting here the artwork, so the most often it's just the black and white drawings. So what sort of the technique are you using? What's the creative process of creating the artwork like that?
Well, in terms of that, I'm fairly old school, so it's usually pen and paper. And then I scan or photograph, and then I tweak it in some sort of editor, whether it be on my phone or on computer. If I need to post it somewhere more fancy, like an NFT platform, I usually do more work on my computer, so it's usually Photoshop. Sometimes when the quality isn't that good on the image itself, on the original, I go over it in Photoshop with lines. And then sometimes I color it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I animate, sometimes I don't. But that's sort of the usual workflow for me in terms of how it's done.
Oh, this one isn't working for some reason. It's a shame. I like this. Okay, so different one, and it's actually not just painting, but there are some text quite often, more often than not. So can you tell us about? Well, maybe let's start with why are you putting the text into your artworks?
At some point, well, at the very beginning when I just started doing this kind of art, there were no captions. But at some point, I felt like, well, I in general am using art as a sort of therapy in a way. So art is a good way of getting my thoughts and my worries out somewhere out of myself, to think about those less. So a lot of the time it's processing some thoughts, and then they kind of form some quotes, short quotes. And at some point I felt like they really connect with some of the art I'm making. So I usually keep a bunch of those short phrases, short thoughts, in my notebooks. Like, well, usually something digital, like Evernote. My Evernote is filled with like short quotes that randomly come to me. And then when I'm finished, usually I'm finishing the piece, and then I go through the quotes and I find something that feels connected to each or to each artwork, and then I put that to the artwork. Or sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes it's artwork, and then based on the artwork, I come up with something to complement the artwork in terms of the text. So I don't really know how that happens. It sort of comes naturally to the workflow.
That's cool. It's actually almost like did you ever create like some sort of story out of these? So it would be more than just one?
You mean comics sort of
Yeah,
thing?
something like that, yeah.
I've been told I should, and I am considering it still, but the maximum I've squeezed out of myself were those like um, 4 panel comics. Nothing more than that. For a couple of years now, I've been sort of daydreaming about writing some sort of fiction,
Oh,
but I feel
nice.
like I'm not at the point of being capable of writing something decent yet. So that's just an idea that's sort of floating around, and hopefully someday will come to fruition. And then I could probably illustrate the story with some of my characters. I'm also actually working with 2 musicians I connected with a couple of years ago on Instagram, and they're starting a project of making an album with with characters that they asked me to animate. So that's underway, but it's still very early probably to talk about it because there's nothing yet to show. But that could be the story, the first story I ever make with my art.
That's cool. It's cool. I think there's a lot of potential in these.
Thank you.
Because yeah, these are usually like some sort of funny, sarcastic irony or just witty sort of quotes on and it very nicely fits the artwork. So it would be pretty cool to have some sort of story to that as well, like longer one.
Yeah, that's kind of where the common senses and uncommon nonsenses came from. That is sort of put in many of my bios on different platforms because sort of the artwork is a nonsense, and then the caption is a common sense because they're sort of a cry for common sense in this world, and the artwork is as nonsensical as possible.
Right, right. Nice. Okay, so you are full-time artist or you have some other job for the living?
Well, when I'm tattooing, that's a good portion of my income. But right now I'm sort of in between things. I'm thinking about going back to school because I didn't finish my architectural degree actually. So
Oh,
I'm kind
architecture.
of in between, yeah, in between things, whether I should continue with architecture or dive into art full time or continue my studies but in a different field like art, fine art. So right now I'm kind of trying to decide, and I'm not really working full time. So I'm trying to build a career as an NFT artist and seeing if that is possible. So it's just trying different things right now.
Right. Well, for architecture, then haven't you thought about moving to like 3D design? So something like between, because like currently we are here in the metaverse, and I expect that there will be people needed to create the architecture architecture here. So you can see there's a villa over here, some sort of
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
gallery over there, the studio, and so on. So, have you thought about some 3D design?
Yes, actually, I have. I haven't really looked into it. It's more of a floating project now. It could be worth exploring for sure. Because well, I'm part-time, more like freelancing. Whenever there is work, I do 3D visualizations and 3D modeling for people. So I kind of have some experience, and it would be really interesting to try it in the metaverse for sure. So I don't know. It could be worth it.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I will see if. But you probably don't have it anywhere online, right? The 3D that you created.
Let me think. I don't think so. It's more of an offline portfolio right
Right,
now. So
right.
I'm not really putting it, yeah, anywhere online.
Okay. Yeah, let's explore your collection. You have artworks at hand, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Why did you choose this platform and not the others?
I would say it's just pragmatic reasons because meeting at the time I was joining was really a lot cheaper on Hikkenung
Mm-hmm.
than any Ethereum based platforms. I know now it's a little bit cheaper than like it's more normal normal prices
Yeah.
on Ethereum based platforms, but at the time I was joining it was crazy expensive, and I wasn't ready to invest this much in something I wasn't really sure about yet. So that's more or less how it came about. And also I've heard a lot of really good feedback about Hikatnunk, and the community seemed really nice. So that's just how it came about.
Right, right. Yeah, it makes total sense. The platform grew so rapidly. So you are probably one of the early adopters of this one.
Well, ish. I joined a couple months later than most people, most early adapters did. So I was a little late, but still, I guess I was among the first people who have. I missed some things, but I was there for most of stuff that happens lately.
Cool, and we can see a lot of animations in this one. So,
Yeah.
so maybe if, let's talk about a couple of particular artworks. So I will open them, and you can tell us about them. Maybe a little bit of a story, or what are you trying to tell there, or just anything that comes to your mind and that you would like to share.
For sure. This one is a recent one. I've been trying to put recent art more on Hikatnunk whenever I'm minting something. And right now, a lot of focus in my artwork and just in general is on religion and sort of sexuality. So this one is a little I see it as a little unsettling. Well, because of because of the creature that's there, and just general color scheme of it is. I find it a little not scary, but something is off there, and that was kind of the intention in the first place. Um, I feel I feel frustration about many things, and that's how a lot of my art comes about. And right now, that is patriarchal. I'm sorry for for my pronunciations. Um, Patriarchal order that we live in for a long time now, and how Christianity is supporting and promoting it. I'm not saying a lot of it is bad, but a lot of it has caused many issues that are relevant nowadays. So I'm kind of exploring those thoughts via art pieces. And that was one of those because I'm seeing a lot of advantages. I'm not sure if advantages is the right word, but for the lack of better term right now, I'd say advantages in other religions and religious beliefs other than Christianity. And I know that's kind of an exploration on that.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, I actually saw a couple more that were mentioning religion. So it's one of the themes that you are using, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of an overarching theme right now for a lot of my art, right? So
And is it always about Christianism, or my pronunciation is worse than yours, or do you look at other religions as well?
I wouldn't say the artwork itself is directly linked to Christianity. It's more of a thought process that went into it. I would say satanistic faith is more what is portrayed, but it has both. So the artwork had both, but satanic religion is showing for sure more in those.
Yeah.
It's basically making fun of both of them, but favoring one over the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we can see migrating face of a Jesus.
Yeah, that one was when I first found out about Father John Misty, if you're familiar, and
No,
I saw
no.
one of his he's a musician and an illustrator, I believe. I'm not really educated on him, but at some point I found an artwork of his, and I got really obsessed with it. And sort of under the impression of his artwork, I made this piece.
Yeah, for some
That was
reason.
actually a while ago. That was slightly earlier than my more recent obsession with religion. So I guess that's just a coincidence.
Right, right. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't want to load, but yeah, it was this one in the middle. Uh, yeah, so for maybe for, when we are talking about religion, so for, do you what was the trigger to go there? Because I sort of get the feeling that it wasn't always there as the main theme, and now it is. So for what made you go this direction?
I feel like it's just a series of coincidences that usually brings me to a topic. And I feel like it started at a year-ish ago when I came to Kiev, and I was sort of looking for job opportunities because I knew I'll be here for a while. And I came across this bizarre job opportunity on some sketchy website about icon painting. And so I was trying to connect to the guy whose phone number was in the contact information. And after like 5 or 6 attempts of calling him and talking about that job, we finally connected at like 11 p.m. on some night, and then we talked for a couple of hours about Christianity, about the origins of religion, about faith versus religion.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was like really old school painter, fine art teacher or something like that. And for whatever reason, we just started talking about that, about Buddhism, about influences of other more older religions on how Christianity came about and how it formed and how it sort of transformed over time to fit political needs of the top layer of society, and later it also not informed but promoted female oppression in society, again for the benefit of certain higher ups. And I don't know, it was such an interesting conversation that it got me thinking. And for a while now, I've been kind of exploring these things on my own and kind of coming up with um, what's the word? Well, basically, just exploring these things on my own time and forming them into sort of my understanding of how this works, how it came about, and where it's headed.
Yeah, yeah, right. Oh, it must be some talk. Cool, cool. Okay. Yeah, there was this noodle thing. Where is it? Yeah, that was different. So tell us about noodles.
About what, sorry?
Noodles.
Oh, the noodles.
Beat the noodle.
Um, I would say there's no story behind it. Again, it's random thoughts forming something in my mind that results in this sort of thing. It's just random nonsenses that come about. So I wouldn't say there is much of a history to this artwork. It's just seeing how far I can go with with making something that doesn't make sense.
Right, right. Well, when you start making something like this, do you know it from the beginning how you wanted to end, or is it surprise?
Very, very rarely I do know what's going to happen. Mostly I just start a line or something like that. I usually start with a body part, and then it just comes about naturally. I never know. I almost never know what's going to happen, especially when I'm doing smaller pieces. When I'm doing paintings, I usually try to think of what that's going to be at the end. But when it's just pen paper, I usually never plan.
Yeah, it's cool. Like this one, so it's actually like you start exploring. Okay, what is the like leg? What is the arm? Are there is it just one person or two?
You mean the characters?
Yeah. The
In
character and the noodles.
it's usually different every time.
Yeah.
I heard opinions that I'm subconsciously drawing myself, and in some cases, I suppose that's true. In some cases, I hope not, because those are really hideous. But yeah, those are mostly different characters.
Okay, we have some laser sight here, or oh no, I don't know laser, but what's this?
It's feminine energy in art form, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's an exaggeration. It's a comical exaggeration of female body, of an animal, of well, a combination of those two. Uh, Female deities really interest me. And again, it's all, I'm trying to not make it serious because I'm very skeptical of serious art. That's kind of why I chose ignorant style for tattoos, because even the name ignorant or naive art really resonates with me. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yes, these are really quite different, different sorts of highlights. Like the art is similar, but you are using always something different to make it pops, sort of. Like the first one is just very bright contrast colors, then the background, and here we have the stickers. So
Yeah, I'm
are
trying
you?
to experiment as much as possible, especially when it comes to NFTs.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's almost like a challenge to find something new that wasn't that you haven't used before, almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this, what is it? It's some sort of witch, right? Yeah. Nice. Which one is your most favorite?
On Hiktung or in general? Because in general, I would not be able to answer this question.
Yeah,
There are
so,
too many.
yeah, so here, what we have here at Hikenung?
I think my first piece on Hiktung is definitely a special one, because that was one of the first animations I made ever, pretty much. One of the good ones, one of the first good ones I made. And like a lot of time went into it, so naturally what a lot of time goes into feels special. And that was one of those things. It's like a metamorphosis idea that starts from nothing and goes back to nothing, and that's sort of how it loops, so it's both practical and the idea at the same time.
Yeah. And how is the animation created?
When?
How did you do this
How?
one?
Again, it's analog, so it's hand drawn and then it's scanned and animated in Photoshop. I mostly do my animations in Photoshop, which is very impractical. But I haven't learned anything else yet. I'm looking into different programs, but that's been the fastest way for me to animate so far. So that's what I'm using currently.
Right. So you like create these particular images, and then you manipulate them to create the animation, the individual like how to call it screens.
Yes. This one was trace paper. So
it's cool. It has almost like this. Yeah, it's like simplistic and almost like beginning of cinematography or something like that.
Yeah, that was definitely an influence on this piece.
Cool. Okay, so maybe tell us what we missed. What didn't I asked, and what did you? What would you like to tell the viewers, collectors, other artists?
That's a good question, and also a tricky question. I feel like I haven't mentioned why NFTs were particularly interesting for me, and that is because as compared to traditional art, that I was at some point looking into when I started looking into art as a professional career, and when I realized to do it for a living, I also need to sell it, which feels awful because I'm definitely not a salesperson. I hate selling stuff to people, which is also a challenge for me when it comes to tattooing, because I charge for tattoos, and charging people for art feels really unnatural to me. But where I was going with this is that most traditional art that is being sold is valued not only on sort of the art that it is, but on the size of a piece that's being sold. And I am really comfortable with doing teeny tiny artworks, because well, how it all came about is because I always had a notebook with me. So I got used to drawing everywhere all of the time, and it's really easy to take notebook with you anywhere you go. So that's how I draw most of the time, and I realized that I'm not adapted enough at this point to scale up. And in NFTs, it's digital, so the size of the original artwork does not matter at all. And you can draw it at whatever size you want, and then show it on whatever size screen you want. And it just comes to the quality of the digital piece. How can you make it more? Well, how can you make a larger file size, essentially? So the original artwork size does not matter at all in NFTs, and that felt really compelling for me personally. I don't think it's the main reason, but it was definitely a huge deal breaker for myself. And just the idea of working remotely is essentially my my life goal. So NFTs are like the perfect solution for many issues that I've been struggling with for the last couple of years.
Right. Well, it's I think like some very interesting takes on the NFT. Why it's interesting for artists. Some that like the size thing. It's quite interesting point of view as well, and of course like very valid. Especially for someone that like creates something that's not appreciated in the physical world, just for some like random reason, maybe because it's small. Okay. So seems weird, but yeah, of course, like it has some sort of logic. But yeah, it's it's just doesn't matter anymore in digital. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty cool. I like it. I like it. Okay. Where can people reach you? Where can people see your work? So we already touched that, but let's hear it from you. What are the best way where to reach you and buy your work?
In terms of art, I'm mostly on either Instagram or Facebook. I'm not sure if there's somewhere I can provide my email if anyone wants to reach out, but if not, then Instagram is a good way to connect with me. Twitter is a great way to connect with me. I have a website. I don't use it too often, but I have my email on there. So those are like the best ways people could connect. If anyone wanted to collaborate or if anyone wanted to commission something or just to chat, I'm always open for any of those things.
Cool. And your collection is on Hen. That link
Yes,
monologue.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like this. So for people that are watching, the Twitter handle is in the name of the video. Then for the people that are watching later on YouTube, you just go down into the description and there will be all the links that we talked about. So you can just click them and reach out. Probably best to reach out using the social media. You can already follow Marie Melenka and maybe like some of her posts, retweet, help her. So that will be it. And with that, thank you very much. We actually have just the sunset over here in the metaverse, so it's perfect. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for explaining your art, yourself, telling your story. And I hope that many more other artists and collectors will reach out to you and buy your art, maybe connect with you, create some inspiration together, collaboration, some cool stuff.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was really nice chatting with you. Thanks again.
Thank you. So have a nice day, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye. Bye.